Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and I'm going to do your November the 11th Spiritual Principle Day in a meditation. This one is a tongue twister, so hopefully I will be able to get through at least one good taping of it. November 11th, willing to explore new directions. With self-acceptance comes a willingness to creatively explore new directions. That comes from the Living Clean book, chapter 4, Wellness and Health. Our willingness to stay clean triggers willingness to improve our lives. In turn, we're able to look at ourselves with greater clarity and a realness we never imagined possible. Our minds become open to an awareness of our shortcomings and our limitations. We humbly evaluate and acknowledge our assets. Acceptance of where we are right now creates a willingness to move forward. And like everything in recovery and in life, we won't experience self-acceptance perfectly. Rather, it's something we strive for daily. In recovery, accepting ourselves doesn't mean we accept our conditions. Instead, we can pursue new goals that better mirror the self we have come to accept. Many of us who find some stability in A also find the willingness to create new opportunities for ourselves or take ones that are offered to us. We now know that we don't have to be held back or be victimized by our past. We follow through on a long-held dream, rent our own place for the first time, enroll in or finish college, or start a family. We also can be held by a deep-seated knowing, or what one member called divine dissatisfaction. A motivating, self-affirming voice tells us it's time to move on from the relationship that we've used all the arrows in our quiver to save. It tells us to move on from a job that's no longer fulfilling us, to move on to a new city, to just move our lives in some significant way. We learn to trust our instincts. Our self-acceptance helps us to be willing to make mistakes and then be willing to forgive ourselves and learn from them. We find ourselves often being more flexible, knowing that we will be okay no matter what, more resilient and responsible, less of a perfectionist. If one endeavor doesn't work, we're willing to feel the pain of failure and then seek an alternative strategy to reach our goal. I am determined to accept who I am and who I'm becoming today. With those arrows in my quiver, I'm willing to point my life in a new direction and take aim. Take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you, God. Grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference just for today. Please and thank you. Powerful meditation talking about having the ability to explore new directions, being willing to actually be able to take a step in one direction and figure out that maybe it's not bad, but it's not delivering the results that we actually want. So maybe I need to add another step to that direction, or maybe I need to abort that direction completely and start from scratch. You know how much willingness and humility it takes to start fresh, to be able to admit, this isn't working for me. This isn't what I thought it would be. And I need to either do something else completely different or I need to add another step that will gird up the situation and make it better. You know, the terminology here talking about using all of our quivers, right? I mean, all of our arrows and our quivers to save a situation seems unusual to me, right? So, but what it's saying is that we've exhausted everything that we could to make a situation work. And at some point in time, we surrender to the fact that that situation failed. And we accept the pain of failure. That's the most beneficial statement in this whole thing. We accept the pain of failure and allow ourselves to move on, to try again, to do something different. You know, I came from a deeply religious background that always talked about how God was love until you made the same mistake. Then all of a sudden it was as if the love of God could not cover insanity. Narcotics Anonymous was the first place that I came to, including religion. Narcotics Anonymous was the first place that I came to where I knew that I could try again without being penalized. I knew that I could keep coming back. I knew that I could because I saw the people doing it. I heard it all of the time. And I hope that you're having that experience as well. I hope you're enjoying your recovery. I hope that you are allowing yourself to have intimate relationships with the people in the fellowship, non-sexual friendships, right? Where they know you and you know them. They know your last name. They know how many children you have, what type of work you do, how you feel about certain things. Do you have anyone that is connected to Narcotics Anonymous that you can say, that's a friend, that I can call this person and I can talk to them about anything? Do you have that? Because having that is going to be, in many instances, the difference between you choosing a drug over recovery. Or for some people, choosing life over recovery, right? Or excuse me, choosing life over death. Recovery is life, right? But I'm thinking about those that, you know, they terminate their lives. Not, I wouldn't say, you know, using actively will definitely terminate, right? But I'm talking about those that commit suicide because they didn't feel they had anyone in that moment that they could talk to. So having that available, having someone that you can turn to, and say, you know what, that didn't work out so good. I'm not feeling so great about this failure. And they can listen to you and not be judgmental. Sometimes is the very thing that allows us to hold on to life, not take it too seriously. You know, I don't know if you've ever lost anyone to suicide, but probably if you're like me, you've lost someone to an overdose. And you always wonder in the back of your head, why didn't they reach out to me? They knew I was working. They knew I got off at 5 o'clock. Why didn't they try to hit me up and hold on till 5 and call me? I mean, I always think about that. I've been there all these other times. What was so crucial about this one time that you couldn't reach out? And now you're gone. And you have to live with that. You live with that. And so in Narcotics Anonymous, this is a place where, yeah, we know insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. But sometimes we may not actually have enough spiritual girding foundation underneath us to be able to make a different decision. We don't even understand the exact nature of our wrongs many times. And that's why working the steps with a sponsor is very powerful. It's very, very helpful, because when you begin to understand when we begin to understand why we do the things that we do and what we're operating out of, what the exact nature is, our motive, where is the root of this particular behavior, when we begin to understand that, now we're in a position where we can peep game, right? We're able to see ourselves coming a mile away, and we can say, you know what? No, not today. We're not doing that today. And head in the direction of spiritual principles and recovery rather than the other direction, right? This is a place where you can admit your mistakes and take away the weight of guilt and shame. You're allowed to do that. That's part of this process. Everyone needs someone. Who is your someone? Who's on your team besides your sponsor? Who else is on your team? Who is on your team that you can turn to and examine new directions? Bounce your ideals off of. It's important. Very important. Could be more important than one might realize. Try not having someone. Go from having someone in your life to all of a sudden they're not there anymore, which is better. I believe having someone there that you can turn to is better. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you today. I hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose.